And as you can see on the big screen in front of you, we have the man all the way down in sunny, warm, hot Florida, Mr. Oriskany Jim. How are you, sir?
It's getting there. It's a good like 80, 85 already. It's only 10 in the morning. So the dodging hurricanes
Yeah,
are into
buddy. So I have a feeling it might be an interesting summer down there. They already had a tropical depression out in the Gulf, and that hasn't happened in centuries. So, and then over in Illinois, live from the convention floor, is Chris
Good morning,
covering.
everyone.
How are you, Chris?
Doing good.
Excellent. So we are going to be coming to you live from today's convention, which is Little Wars in Lisle, Illinois. Jim's going to be talking about all the big projects he's working on for some important dates in history. And I will be catching you up on just some current events and other things. So get ready. In 3, 2, 1.
Big Duke 6 Eagle Thrust. Put on Cywara, sing it loud. And the Romeo Foxtrot, shall we dance?
You are listening to the SITREP podcast, your source for everything related to historical wargaming. Whether you are looking for the latest wargaming news, reviews, painting tutorials, or playthroughs, you will hear about it right here. So grab your favorite beverage or brush and let's hit it.
All right. Sorry about that. A little glitch there. The little trigger button wasn't working very well. Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome, welcome. So here we are in big convention time. We just had Adepticon a few weeks back. Now Chris is at Little Wars with Marty, who will join us later in the day. And then Salute is actually happening. Well, it happened last weekend. So they had Salute last Saturday in London. And then upcoming, we have Origins, I believe, in June in Ohio. And then Historicon in July. And then Gen Con in the end of July, beginning of August. So it's already a busy time.
It's a smaller convention, but Recon down here in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
As we speak. As we speak.
That is right. So, yeah, hopefully next year we can pick up some coverage of some of the other ones, and then we can actually get the team together. Different ones we'll have to map out itinerary for next year. But let's get started with some quick catch up. Chris, why don't you start us off? Because you always got so much going
on. Nothing, as I mentioned on the last podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not hobbying right now because I'm getting ready to move, as you are very well aware of. But instead of prepping for it, instead of prepping for the move right now, I'm covering a convention for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, it's other than that, everything's good. Trying to get the ideas of how the new house is going to be set up and the new studio and everything.
Nice. Excellent day. All right. Mr. Jim, sir, you are kind of like the kit bashing god. I saw what you were doing with that armor the other night.
Right.
Out of, what was that, paper, cardboard, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little spitball in.
Yeah, there's a little bit of wood in that. There's some poster board, paper, little bits off a plastic broom bristle, off a dustpan bristle for the radio antenna, stuff out of the kit box, paper clips, and kneaded eraser, and finally a couple of toothpicks for the actual guns. Yeah. It all looks fine.
That was pretty impressive.
Oh,
it looks really good.
I appreciate it. It's as accurate as a $3 bill, but it'll get the point across for tomorrow's game and for the videos that come out for that. Meanwhile, I've got a real one based on the correct Leopard 1 chassis on the way. So
nice.
Well, very good, nice. MacGyver.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So what else you got going? I mean, you've been doing some really good 15 millimeter goodness. So why don't you run us through, a quick synopsis of what you've had on the table and what's coming up for you?
Oh,
I know you got some
okay.
big projects you're working on.
I'll start with what's happened recently. So yeah, people watch us on the show. My friend Mark Ritchie and I at the South Florida Miniatures Gaming Club we sort of got that club almost on like a left hand, right hand. There are some other people that run games there too, but he and I run a game there at least once a month, and we just kind of trade off. He does a lot of World War II, and I do a lot of modern stuff, although I do some World War II. He's done some Vietnam. So we've done some Vietnam on his tables. There is some San Vith coming out from the Battle of the Bulge. There's some Barbarossa coming out from 1941. Meanwhile, I've been doing some Arab's Early Wars in 7 Days to the River Rhine. And tomorrow we are going to run some... how we're going to brand it is if this thing that's going on in the Ukraine, everyone's worried about if it expands to other countries. Yeah, it expands to another country. It expands to Lithuania, the Baltic states. Lithuania is a NATO country, so Article 5 gets kicked off, and Bundeswehr Germans are among the responding NATO units. It's an excuse to put my Bundeswehr up against my Russians in 15 millimeter and not do the same old, they're invading West Germany for the 17 million. And also we're not directly stepping on the Ukraine conflict, so we're kind of, adjacent to it. That way, we can cross promote it on other platforms where they're saying, hey, look, stay away from Ukraine for now because of sensitivity reasons. So we'll see.
Interesting. That's just one of the awesome parts about wargaming. You get to do these what ifs and just throw everything on the table and base it upon current situations.
We've done this basic scenario with Dylan in Panzer Leader, Modern Panzer Leader 2025 expansion. We're going to do it in actual miniature this time. We use the Germans instead of the Poles, but basically the same idea.
Wait a minute. It is our buddy from over there in Poland. Hello, Piotr. How are you today, sir? So, yeah, that's really cool. Jim, I know you have sort of like a confined space. Where do you put all your stuff?
Everything is built to where it breaks down or fits inside each other. My 20 millimeter Ukrainian church has about 17 pieces to it, and they all fit inside the first main. So it breaks down from like 22 inches high and 18 inches wide into one box that's basically 12 by 12. You got to kind of design it that way, build it that way, and just buy bigger plastic tote bins and just stack them higher. Some of it's not that scientific.
Yeah. Sorry, Jen. You don't get your dining room anymore. I got to store stuff. All right. So you got some big projects here we've got in the works. You want to kind of give us a rundown of what you got coming up?
Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, what about you, Bill? What have you been hobbying?
Well, I have been working on the Huey. That video will be coming out shortly. We have ordered some new furniture to start setting up the game room studio. I'm looking at possibly a new camera for the studio, so we'll get that set up. I've been doing a lot of just graphics and assets and stuff in the background. I'm trying to up our production value on some of the things. Like today's, I put a new intro together. I rendered a new one, and I really would like to share this. Let's see if I can. Listening to Jim bragging, drinking a lot of coffee.
The fuck am I bragging about?
So basically, you haven't been painting anything.
Have I been painting anything? No, but I have another buy or not to buy. Hold on a minute. Another buy or not to buy video that's going to be coming out on. If you guys have any hobbying Facebook, when you're on your Facebook, you get these ads for, hey, Damon, for what is that company called? Monument Hobbies. And they have that portable workstation paint bag thing. I picked one up, so I'll be doing a video review of that. Again, under our series, to buy or not to buy. So I spend my money, so you don't have to if it doesn't turn out to be a good buy. No, have I painted anything? Not yet.
Graphic design, production design, that does count as hobby.
Thank you, Jim.
No, it does. I mean,
as much as time as it takes.
And just as I mean, the amount of counters and maps I've had to draw for Panzer Leader, that shit's hobby.
Right.
I mean,
Oh yeah, I understand, but this is all about Bill thinks that the only thing that I can do is paint, and I can't paint.
Well, we know you can't paint.
So
Anyway, so there's a lot of stuff in the background.
yes, there is.
So yeah. Other than that, Jim, I'm sorry, you have some big projects here coming up. So why don't you fill us in, sir?
What we tend to do here on the SITREP podcast, I mean, we pretty much do whatever we want, as long as it has something to do with military history. About 50% of that, you guys know this, is post 1945, but certainly not all of it. So when we have a lack of anything other to go by, we go by our anniversaries. So it's been kind of slow lately. The last big anniversary that we had, going by decades. I mean, you can always find, it's the 719th anniversary of some, whatever. But if you go by 80, 30, 75s, the nice round numbers, we're marching through all the 80th anniversaries of World War II. And of course we did, Stalingrad was the last big one, officially ends 3 February. Didn't want to do Stalingrad again because I spent all of 2021 in Stalingrad with Yobo War Games, Matrix, Slytherin, all that stuff like that. So what we did instead was, look, we're going to do the end of North Africa. So we did El Qatar correctly, not the way it's done in the movie. We did El Qatar and Panzer Leader. And then it's been kind of slow because World War II kind of hits a bit of a dip in April, May, maybe a little bit of June. And then in 43, holy balls, it kicks off again in a huge way. So again, me and some of the guys at the club, we're literally having a meeting. We've been doing it in Discord so far. We're going to do it face to face tomorrow, where we literally chart out the rest of the year and we plot out a lot of stuff that's coming. So to get more directly to your to answer your question, we're gearing up for 80th anniversary of Kursk, literally the largest battle that has ever been in human history. Full stop. That kicks off July 5th. We want to have a bunch of material ready before that. So we really got to start planning now, produce the content in May and June to have it ready to roll out through July. And this might interest you, Bill, if you want to set some time aside. It's up to you. The other thing that kicks off that's huge in July, 80th anniversary, so in other words, July of 1943, is Sicily, Operation Husky. The Allies invade Sicily.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So my friend Mark is saving up. He's been building for the better part of a year a Red Devils, British Airborne Army, because he wants to have our friend John Sauer be involved in that. So he's going to put some airborne. He's going to put British Red Devils up against Hermann Goering Division. I'm thinking about trying out Paraleader. Paraleader is Panzer Leader, but with airborne. And, of course, 82nd Airborne landed in Sicily in 43.
Yes, sir.
So I'm thinking about doing some of that. And that's going to get us through July, although that's going to be like 2 months worth of content right there. July goes into August. Okay, you got the fall of Kharkov. In September, you've got the liberation of Kiev. And then October, boom, October of 73, the 50th anniversary of Yom Kippur. So we're in the middle of doing some Yom Kippur content now. We're going to lay it aside for about 6 months, and then October we're going to come back. We're going to hit it very, very hard. The other big thing that's coming in October, 30th anniversary, October of 93, Gothic Serpent, Battle of Mogadishu. We're going to hit Mogadishu very hard again in October. Yeah. Blunders right into November of 43, 80th anniversary of Tarawa. So we pretty much have the schedule until almost the end of the year. We might take December off just out of friggin' exhaustion, because there's going to be like 20 games and 30 videos between now and the end of November. It's going to be a madness.
Yeah. That is a lot of stuff. And we're at an important date in history. Jim and I have been talking, can't remember the exact date, but about this time in 1945 was when Hitler was surrounded, locked in his bunker, and decided to end it all, which began the final few days of the European theater of World War II, as the Russians were crashing down in the gates. Jim,
That's when
have
you
you ever
gotta
done?
sit there at the map and you gotta take your glasses off, like all shaky like this, and then
Yeah.
everyone out of the room except for these 4 men. Everyone's seen those parodies.
Yeah. So, have you ever done a Battle of Berlin game? Where like
I've
actually like those final days?
I've done just outside Berlin. So
Okay.
as the Soviets are closing in from several directions, you got Rokossovsky and Third Ukrainian Front coming in from the northeast. You've got Konev and Zhukov in their big race because, of course, Stalin is going to put his generals at each other's throats.
Right.
There's a lot of friendly fire in Berlin between Soviet armies, and it's not accidental. They're intentionally shooting and killing each other because there's all this, build up to whoever's going to reach the Reichstag first, and so so I've never actually done in Berlin. But as those spearheads are all closing in, that last German pocket, this is actually in the Downfall movie, where he says, Venk and 12th Army is going to come, the 9th Army is going to come, Steiner and the 9th Army. There's all these armies that are going to break in and supposedly save them out. There's a lot of action outside Berlin, and definitely done a lot of that. The Huba pocket, if I'm pronouncing that right, is particularly what I've done. This is where you've got Germans. Okay, they're pretty much surrounded by that point. Rather than attack eastward towards the Soviets, they're in a pocket, so no matter which way they attack, they're going to be attacking the Soviets. But the main objective is to attack westward, break through the Soviet encirclement, just so they can surrender to the Americans. Because by that point, it was, pick your poison. I'd much rather spend 6 months in an American prisoner of war camp where I eat better than most American soldiers than go to a gulag. And, that's the survival rate out of the Soviet gulags for the German servicemen was literally like 4%. And they didn't come back. Just the ones that did that 4% that did come back didn't come back till sometimes 1955. So it was they saw the writing on the wall. They knew what had happened in Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and they were like, "We're not surrendering to those people. They're not going to cut us too much slack. We want to break out of this pocket and surrender in the West." Lots of that going on. So we've done that. In the streets of Stalingrad, it's interesting because the Germans, contrary to popular belief, most of the people defending Berlin in those last days weren't Germans. A lot of French, a lot of Belgians. We're talking about, I think it's 13th SS Charlemagne Division. These are guys that came from other occupied countries that took the deal when the Germans came in, surrendered, and actually joined the Waffen-SS. They're not going to go home. So they're, in for a penny, in for a pound. They know that even if they do manage to make it home, their own people are going to string them up. So ironically, some of the last most bitter, diehard, fanatical defenders of Hitler in those last couple of days weren't even Germans.
Really? I had no idea on that one.
Same here.
Wow.
Charlemagne, and there's a couple others. That's the famous one, but there's a few others. A lot of people from these other, like the Waffen-SS included nations from all over Europe. Most of Europe likes to forget about this. But Dutch, Norwegians, Finns, you name it, there were people there.
Yeah. Wow. That's just crazy to think about. So Grimbeard Gaming said Silo Heights for tank action.
Yep, Salo Heights. Yep.
Yeah.
So Salo Heights is a low ridge of high ground just to the east of Berlin, running along the Oder River. I think it's on the, I'm going to fail this. It's along the bank of the Oder River. I'm not going to say which one because I don't remember. But that was the last big natural obstacle, and that was Zhukov's first Ukrainian front sort of trying to break through, number one, across the Oder River, and then those Salo Heights. And it was that was when he launched his attack in the pre-dawn hours, and he threw so much artillery at the Germans. Then he turned on all these searchlights, these like thousands and thousands of these gigantic anti-aircraft searchlights. And the idea was, number one, the artillery is going to stun the hell out of these Germans, and then these searchlights are going to blind them, and because they're kind of shining over the shoulder of their troops. Problem is, all the artillery threw up all this dust and smoke. And then the searchlights were going straight into the dust and smoke. Nobody could see a damn thing, and the attack did not go well. It was an idea that sounded good on paper, not so much in practice.
Yeah. So I just realized that next January 2024, since we're talking about future projects, will be the 145th anniversary of your script in Illinois. So guess what we're doing again? Woohoo!
Nice.
You excited, Chris? You seem very
Yes.
excited by that.
Oh, I am.
I am going to order the Wolfun miniatures for that.
Okay.
So
We've got them right here.
What? They're not selling them there, are they?
Oh
Or is
no,
it,
they're not
what's his
selling.
name?
Yeah.
The Gettysburg?
Yep.
Okay, you guys will get coverage of Gettysburg today, right?
Yep.
Or at least throw some pictures up on Facebook, and then when Marty arrives after teaching today, then you all will get Chris just sitting there totally in face.
I'm just
Uh,
sitting here learning stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
I might have put him to sleep with.
No, it was fascinating. A lot of stuff I
but
didn't
yeah,
know.
I mean, if we have a couple claims to fame, Jim's reiterations of Panzer Leader, Panzer Blitz, the Arab-Israeli wars is kind of one of our, claims to fame. He also wrote an expansion for a certain game, Valor and Victory.
There you go.
And that's published on the video game side. And then our Mogadishu games, 13 days to 13 hours, the transit game, the miniatures game. I think that, I'd like to see us get into some more of those projects, but I would be looking forward to that as well. And then,
Yeah.
of course, Orchestra,
That
it works
and
just on
the
that.
only other thing that's happened was Marty falling off the stage.
Yes.
That was like the highlight. That was about the highlight of the year right there.
Everybody requests that. I mean, it happened like 2 seconds. It was funny, but for some reason, it's just melted into the minds of everyone. So,
Yeah, I
but
think
yeah,
a lot of those hits are his
Yeah.
daughter because she's got it,
yeah, she
bookmarked
shows
on her phone.
everybody and has it
Yeah.
saved. Yeah.
And my dad's on a podcast. See,
That's not the
So,
kind of stuff that
Chris.
you can like request and do again, though. That's like it's got to be spontaneous. It's got to be accidental.
Right.
yeah. So
We try to
what
do
we'll
it
have
on
to do,
purpose.
we'll have to tie something to like a chair and then just yank it out from underneath of them without him knowing.
So, Chris, why don't you give us a little overview of what's going on behind you? You don't change the camera, but just kind of like give us the rundown of what you see around you right now.
It is crazy, or it is. I thought yesterday was a lot of people, and it's much bigger. It's gotten big enough to where next year they're going to be in Lombard, in a bigger facility.
Really? Already?
Yeah. Yep. So we've got Gettysburg over here to my left. There's a couple boards over on that side that I swear they must have got a deal on the a terrain because they got about an acre for some of the boards over there. There's assault at
Do you know what's on the boards, what they're playing or over there?
No, I don't right now. That was a ship game. There's something of Khartoum, assault on Khartoum. That's about the same size, but it's on 3 rows of tables. It's huge. And then just there's demos and everything going on. This room is packed, and it's packed enough to where Mantic and some of the other people that are doing demos, they're actually doing them out in the halls.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
So make sure you say hello to the guys over at Mantic for us.
Will do.
Yeah. So in another interesting twist, they started adding non-historical games there as well, right, Chris?
Well, Mantic, they've got
Armada, right?
Armada and
Kings of War.
Is it Kings of War or Kings of God?
Kings of War.
Okay,
Kings of War. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of those is they've got going on today. One they have going on tomorrow. Well, when I say today,
Nice.
It's from 9 to 2 today. So it's a big, huge 20,000 point versus 20,000 point.
Wow. And make sure you guys cover Circus Maximus. I saw a picture of the circus, and that's always how I envisioned my version of it. When we did it at the former Draxter Games, when we had the game board blown up and printed on vinyl. I think it was 12 feet long. so we could play in 28 millimeter miniatures. So for anybody who doesn't know what Circus Maximus is, it is a classic Avalon Hill game from back in the day. It was chariot racing in the circus.
That one goes
And
back even further than Panzer Leader. That goes back to the 60s, I think.
and it's so much fun because not only are you just racing, you're slashing each other, you're crashing each other, you're whipping each other, you're running over people. I mean, it's just a great time. If you've ever seen any of the Gladiator Roman movies where they have chariot racing, it's just like that. There's nothing better than a bunch of friends getting together and trying to run each other over and slash horses and, in good fun in the Roman Empire. So
The original Mad Max.
Yeah, for those of us
Yeah.
down here in South Florida, my friends, it's like I-595 on a
Right,
Friday afternoon,
right.
just without the insurance claims.
Right?
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, please get some coverage on that. It's
Oh,
always a
absolutely.
good game. And the nice thing about that is a game people who aren't into historical games will play, i.e. Dawn. Dawn loves playing Circus Maximus, but she doesn't care for historical games, but she really likes that game.
Oh, you just didn't tell her it was historical?
Oh, she knows. But the nice thing is we've been to Rome, so we've been to the circus, so you can kind of, now obviously the circus nowadays doesn't look anything like it did then, but you're standing there looking. I'm standing where they ran chariots. It's kind of amazing. So
If you get low enough in your command scale, you can sort of get to where it almost starts to blur into an RPG. Jen and I have done our Gladiator Blood and Sand game. We've adapted the SITREP skirmish system to everything from Miami Vice, 18. We did Aliens. You didn't, we had lots of people there that weren't really into historical gaming. So
yeah,
Miami
that
Vice
Miami
is not
Vice days.
historical.
Oh my God, that was so much fun. That was so much
Miami
fun.
Vice is not historical.
Yes, it is. It truly is.
It was
It's
the cocaine
in the
cowboy
historical
wars
books.
of the 1980s. It's the
Oh,
cocaine
okay.
And
cowboy
it
wars.
truly
of the
is
1980s.
historical because it set the precedent for quality of television back in the day. Not only because it used current music, but the way they filmed it.
All
Because
right.
it was actually filmed on film. It was not done on video. They actually recorded each episode. It was done in film. That's why it looks the way it does. So, yeah, it created a genre. So it is actually historical, Chris.
That
Okay.
was Michael Mann, right? Was the producer? Or the
Yeah,
showrunner
Michael
for
Mann.
that?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, on a more serious note, I mean, if you look at the actual the cocaine cowboy wars of the 80s, the murder rate in Miami outstrips the fatality rate in the last dozen years of Afghanistan, the Troubles, Iraq. I mean, it was a friggin' war. If you lived down here at the time, I was just moving in here. I was only like 14 or 15, but you didn't go down to Miami. We were up in Broward County, then further north in Palm Beach.
Mhm.
You did not go to Miami. It was like every day you look south, you half expected to see like this big smoke column coming out of the south. It was rough in those days.
Mogadishu.
A little, some parts, yeah. It's calmed down a lot now, but back in the day, it was crazy. They didn't set it in Miami by accident.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, have you seen John yet? John Russell.
Yep, we saw him yesterday. They've got a
Okay.
new product. We'll have them talk about. Pretty slick.
So why don't we see if we can schedule some time with him to do a live stream? We'll do it through here, and we'll have you
Okay.
guys sit down and we'll do a live stream.
All right.
Okay. You can use Marty's mic probably, or unless you have a second set of headphones.
No, I brought the camera,
Okay.
so we have the wireless mic and everything now.
Okay. If we can do it through Restream, that'd be awesome. And that way we can do it interactive. We'll just have to pick a time and we'll promote it. But yeah, that's awesome. So you have a few vendors there, right? Mantic
Yes.
is there, Warlord is there.
Yep.
I don't think Battlefront's there this year, which is a shame.
I don't know.
They may be because Gamma I think's going on as well. So
Okay.
or it ended yesterday. I don't think they go through the weekend for Gamma. It's because it's all business related.
Yep. New vendor
yeah.
was here yesterday. We actually got a video of that. You'll be putting up later.
Yep, Enemy Spotted Studios.
Yep.
It looks really cool. Make sure you see Julio at Julio's Wood Shop.
We know where he's supposed to be. I don't know if he was here yesterday.
I don't. He probably only come for today and tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
He's directly across from Doug Darth, who's doing the paintings that are for the raffle here.
Mhm.
Beautiful, beautiful picture. A day on the beach. Jim, you probably like the picture as well.
Let me see if I is that the D-Day one, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can share that with us real quick.
Okay.
Darth Co. Here we are. Portfolio.
God bless you, someone.
Yep. Yeah, they also have a nice, beautiful Works drift.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll go into the shop.
Yeah, we tried to
Well,
get
kind of
a
be
video of the Works drift yesterday, but the audio was unusable.
no problem. Here we go. I'm gonna share the screen for everybody so we can see. There it is.
Oh, okay.
And
Coming out really small.
what's that?
It's
Kinda
coming
hard
out
to
pretty
see.
small. Yeah. So that is okay. Cool.
And then, of
It's a
course,
beautiful print.
yeah. Oh my God, they got the final redoubt.
Oh, that's the one that's over there.
Yeah,
It's
look at
that one.
that.
So take a look at the details on it, then you can find out all the questions you were asking me earlier.
Digital painting printed on 20 by 30 canvas. Well, let's see. 200. It's 200.
Yep.
Okay. Not bad. Thursday stand. Colonel
That's out west.
Thursday. There's John Wayne right there. That's Henry Fonda. That's from She Wore a Yellow Ribbon from the movie. Or is it She Wore a Yellow Ribbon or Fort Pat? I can't remember now. But yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. All of his stuff is beautifully painted. He's got a lot of nice warplanes and stuff like that. His cards
View
have
from a
a
Higgins boat.
on one side is his information. On the back side, he has like 13 different ones, so you have to pick one.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Let me stop sharing. Yeah. So interesting. All right. So other than that, anything that you've seen, Chris, so far that like really just wowed you?
Yeah, in country, and
Yeah.
you're gonna see that video. The models are stunning. I have never believed that metal could look as good or better than resin,
Really.
and these do. They're amazing.
Hmm.
Even compared them to the Siocast, and the metal came out cleaner.
Interesting. All right. All right. Let's do some
For
quick.
me, metal comes
Go
out
ahead.
metal comes out as sharp as resin. It's just metal you have to clean it, and sometimes in cleaning
Yeah.
you tend to do some damage. So
Yeah, I've never been a fan of metal miniatures, multi-piece miniatures. Let me put it that way.
yes,
Because of you have to pin them because just gluing them they fall apart. You know, it doesn't hold, so you end up having to pin them. It's a pain in the arse. Where you can do plastics or resins, and it comes out much better. All right, we're going to show you some pictures and some updates from our Facebook page. And speaking of cartoon, they have posted some because Cigar Battle Mats is there, it looks like. So let me share the screen for everybody. Boop. And I will enlarge this, but look at that.
nice fortification.
So
Yep,
that's the three tables you're talking about.
Yep, and they're 54 mil.
54 mil?
Yeah.
Look at that.
So that one I saw it and I walked by. I'm like, Oh, great! Now I'm gonna have to go home and watch The Mummy. Is that's what that
Is
reminded
that
me
what it
of?
reminds you of?
Yeah.
54 mil is 2 inches tall. That's like plastic army man size. Those gotta be
Right?
huge miniatures.
Yeah, they are.
Look at that. That was really cool. Khartoum. That's all right. So don't shoot me.
Southern Egypt,
Okay.
I think. Southern Egypt or Sudan. That's all the colonial wars in the 1880s. You know who's going to
Yeah.
know about that? Dylan, LSR 2590.
Well, where is he? Dylan, where are you? Help us. All
Egypt,
right.
Khartoum,
let's.
yeah, 1884 to. I'm just trying to figure out
Yeah.
where it was because I just said it was Egypt, and I think it might be Sudan. I don't hold up the show. I'm just trying to correct myself before.
Well, that boundary is under question now, right?
This is also true. Yeah.
This is true. Well, here is another chariot racing game. I can tell those are chariots there, and
It is
so I don't
Sudan.
know if that's another version of Circus Maximus, but there is that one. Baron's War, if you're into that era. Andy's posted up some. He's been very prolific lately. So Andy Hobday. But yeah, if that's your jam, there you go. You got some more minis. And I have not heard of this company, Oshiro Model Terrain. Some Arabic shrines, Kickstarter. So looks all right. If you're looking for some different terrain to put up. I don't know if this is an actual STL or actual terrain itself. So let's see what else we got. That's Black Powder Red Earth has been pretty productive lately. They've been throwing up all kinds of stuff. So Black Powder Red Earth, for those who don't know, started out as a graphic novel and turned into a game. And that's some of their images from their minis and things like that. So Rubicon Models is always doing some things. Now they're doing some M3 Lee's Grant tank. So you got different military. So there's Americans, the Brits, Indians, and Soviets. So for their cupolas, the tank commanders, which is pretty cool.
The Soviets called when we sent them the grant for Lend-Lease. Their name for the tank was A Grave for Seven Brothers.
Oh, really?
They did not like it. They still used it, but tanks in World War II were almost like in different leagues. Like a tank that was very good in the Pacific wouldn't cut it in North Africa, and a cut that was okay in North Africa, like the Grant, would not cut it in the East. So yeah. So the Grant has a pretty good reputation, or I should say the Lee and the Grant. Those are two different tanks. Hence the different turrets that they have on offer here. Not bad, especially when it first came out. The British were like, "Oh my god, a 75 millimeter gun on a tank that actually starts when you hit the punch key! I can't believe this. This is insane." They loved it, and the Germans were like, "What the hell is this thing?" But then you can send that same tank over to Russia, and the Russians are like, "Oh my god! All right, who lost a bet?" Yuri and Ivan, you get in the T-34. The rest of you guys get in the friggin' Grave for Seven Brothers, and sorry.
Yeah. Classic company Vitrix is producing some late Roman cavalry. So if you're looking for that time period, they have some pretty decent stuff. Let's see. Battle Systems got some fantasy stuff. Highlander. What? They're remaking Highlander?
Yeah. Henry Clavell is going to be one of them.
I am Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod.
Could be.
No. All right. I like him, so I'll give him a chance. Right?
Yep.
I'll give him a chance.
Catherine Janeway. We can't just scroll right by Star Trek. Come on now. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. It's a history show.
Oh, sorry.
It's a history show. I'm just kidding.
Did you see the Picard finale, Jim? Have you been watching that at all?
I haven't seen the finale. I'm like episode 6 right now.
What a great season of that show.
I agree.
I think they hit all the right buttons. It's a shame they waited 3 seasons to actually be good, but
they finally turned it around. There's a whole story behind that.
Yeah.
Alex Kurtzman, and yeah, there's a whole story.
Now, I haven't seen any of those. The Picard series never really interested me, but I might watch it.
Yeah.
But very, very, very related is the other night I watched Galaxy Quest.
There you go. The greatest Star Trek movie that's not actually a Star Trek movie.
Yep.
Exactly. That's why, the ship in Galaxy Quest, it's NTE something.
Yeah,
you know what the
Enterprise.
NTE stands for? Yeah, not the
Enterprise. See where
I think they are going to be making that into a series. I don't know how.
They've been saying that
Quest,
for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's like it's one of those memes that goes around every April 1st.
Oh, okay.
The Firefly's coming back. They're finally going to do it. Everyone's like gets excited.
Yeah.
April 2nd. No, it's not. It's going to be really tough because rest in peace, Alan Rickman. I don't know how they're going to do it without him. But
exactly.
I mean, other than that, they're good.
Yeah, by Grabthar's hammer.
There you go. What a savings.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's see what else we got.
Is that some Tarawa right
World
there?
in Flames. Yeah, World in Flames bolt action event kicking off today. Some more Barons Wars, guys being painted. Legendary Director Mini. I'm not sure why there's a Director Mini, but okay. If you're into your, I'm trying to think what time period that would be. What, 1600s?
That ship's pretty tall.
Yeah. So that's an MDF from Sarissa Precision. They really stepped up their game, I have to say. Let's see. I did see an announcement from Spectre Miniatures. They previewed a couple things from their new rule set, version 3. It'd be interesting to see, what else. Boy, we're getting a lot of fantasy stuff on here all of a sudden. Battlefront, they got some more of their stuff coming out. Panzer IIs?
It's kind of too small. Those might not even be German. I don't know, they're German tanks. They're really too small.
Although it's showing its age, it says Panzer II is still kicking around in 45.
That must be the Lynx upgrade. Yeah, look at the size of the wheels. It's got to be the Lynx. It's technically a Mark II, but not really. It's one of those things that's been upgraded so heavily it's barely the same vehicle. But yeah, it's technically a Mark II.
Yep. All right. This is a game I really want to try. Undaunted. I really have to get my hands on one of those. It's a card-based war game. So it'd be interesting to do a little bit of coverage on that in the near future. I'm trying to find, Armada from Mantic, which is a fantasy version of, what was that game from Warhammer? Gothic Fleet or something like that. If you need any historical reference material, Osprey Publishing has a pretty good selection. A lot of it is more, what would you say, Jim? Covers the basics. It doesn't get into heavy into meat and details.
I would almost, well, I guess it depends on, because they have a bunch of series. It depends on the series from Osprey. I was going to say the Ospreys that are kind of famous are almost the opposite. Like there'll be, here's a book that Osprey produces that is Kursk, 48th Panzer Corps, the first 7 days on the Southern Front. I mean, you kind of have to know what you're looking for, and then you get like these really small books that are hyper focused, and their detail gets pretty good. But again, then they also have like these more these larger, like more umbrella resource books that might be more like what you're talking about. But the Ospreys that I have are, it's almost the opposite problem. You have to kind of already know I'm interested in gaming the American Revolution. I'm going to go buy some Osprey books. Well, hold on there, son. You're going to have to figure out like what part of the revolution, who you're interested in, what campaign, Northern Front, Central Front, down in the South. You're going to have to, because the books are relatively small. They're basically like large magazines, and they get super focused on a very, very specific topic.
Yeah.
At least the ones I'm familiar with.
This diorama here is freaking amazing.
Looks like British tanks.
Is what
British tanks in northern Germany or northern Europe somewhere.
I'm going to say Italy.
Oh, they're definitely British. Oh yeah, they're British in Italy too. Cool.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I'm assuming that's Italy. It's Sicily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're getting ready
This
for
is
that
what
80th
I would
anniversary.
love to do as a project.
In Sicily.
Or a diorama.
Well, just a diorama.
Yeah.
Speaking of, let me. I think that's pretty much all there is. So, Dawn and I were talking about doing some traveling overseas. So, her idea is she wants to spend a couple of weeks traveling Europe, going to the different Christkindl markets, Christmas markets at that time of year, because she's very big into Christmas. I said,
No.
honey,
Really?
yes, really. I said, in South Africa in January, it's summer. And there's this really nice resort that has beautiful rooms and overlooks the savannah, and you could see wild animals. And she's just looking at me with that look she gives me. And I said, and you actually can look out your balcony and see Rourke's Drift.
It doesn't sound like a Chris Kindle mark.
And she's just shaking her head at me. I'm like, what? Beautiful place. We've never been to South Africa.
Oh, you know what? You better go before the continent splits in two.
What's that?
I said you got to go before the continent splits in two.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, she wasn't keen on that idea.
Yep.
I thought it'd been pretty cool.
Chris
And
Kindle
we could
Mart
have
in
played
Nuremberg
Rourke's Drift at Rourke's Drift.
Right?
I'm just saying.
Well,
But
I mean,
anyway.
when I wanted to go to Normandy, I was like, Jen, do you want to go to France if I pay, give you a free ride? She's like, okay. I'm like, all right. Then I gave her the itinerary. She's like, where's the Eiffel Tower? Where's Monet's house? I'm like, here's another German bunker. Look at all this broken up concrete. Look at all this concrete. Let's go to another graveyard.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
look, Point du Hoc.
Yeah. Point du Hoc was amazing.
Oh my God.
But we did go
It's
to
funny,
Monet's
isn't it?
house. We did go to Monet's house, so she didn't walk away completely empty-handed.
Yeah.
For Christmas of 2024, we are starting the initial planning of a meetup. Me and Jen are going to spend Christmas in Europe in 2024. Hopefully, I mean it's still like a year and a half away. Meet up hopefully with Piotr for a 80th anniversary tour of the Ardennes for Battle of the Bulge.
Oh wow!
So that's going to be a hell of a trip. Needless to say, it's going to be like a year and a half of planning to get that put together.
Hey, Grimbeard Gaming, keep that one.
Here you go.
Cool.
Grimbeard Gaming, if you're going to Normandy Beach, you're good to go on Utah, Sword, Utah. Hold on, let me read. Utah, Juneau, and Gold. Before you go to Gold or Omaha, like the famous ones, you got to pay very close attention to the tides. If you go to Omaha Beach at the wrong tide, there's literally no beach there. The water comes up to the seawall, and there's literally no sand. It's the highway, a concrete wall, and that's it. And then you go there 6 hours later, and I live like 3 miles that way is the water. I literally live on the water, and I've never seen tides like this. That tide, you go there 6 hours later at Omaha, and the beach is like a mile and a half, or maybe not a mile and a half, like half a mile wide. So you get a really good idea about, how critical the timing was. And we had to be there at the right tide, because it's either you have no beach at all to land on, or you're walking through half a mile of German mortar and machine gun fire. You're going to put a division of troops on that beach. You have to get there at exactly the right time. And that's true if you're going to go visit there. So if you're going to Normandy Beach and you haven't been there before, specifically Gold Beach and Omaha Beach, because of the way the beach is actually shaped, be careful of the tides. If it's not cool when you get there, go there 3 hours later, and you'll find a completely different setting.
Yeah, it's amazing how much the military had to put into consideration for doing, an invasion. So
everything.
Tides, waves, wind, whatnot. So,
the amount of planning they put into D-Day versus the complete lack of planning for D+1, which is why we were hung up in that bocage for like 6 weeks. D-Day is like not even the Battle of Normandy. The Battle of Normandy starts like 2 or 3 days later. where it's literally drags on into August. It's an absolute shit show because they put all the planning into the first day.
Well, if the first day didn't work, there was not going to be a second day.
This is true.
Very true. All right. Well, I'm going to share one more thing real quick because I found it. I'm sharing the update that Spectre gave us. So trained and untrained fighters act and react differently. Here's a teaser or two of many profiles: militia and tier 1 operators. Let me see what these mean. Movement, ballistics, awareness, and cool. I have no idea what the hell cool means. If anybody has an idea, I would love to hear it.
It's cool, like coolness under fire, like
I
morale
guess
or something.
Yeah.
Are these individual
awareness?
soldiers?
Yeah, I mean, okay,
That's
so
like situational awareness, tactical perception.
yeah,
This
okay,
is border.
so
This is borderline on this is borderline RPG kind of stuff here. That's what it looks like.
So one of my questions is, and I'm not criticizing, I'm just want clarification. Militia, we all know what militia is. It's pretty much a bunch of guys with weapons that somehow are sort or loosely organized. May or may not have basic training. Typically don't. You have tier 1 operators who are like the best of the best of the best. And you're telling me there's a 2-point difference in awareness?
I don't know the system enough. I don't know the system.
Yeah, I know.
I asked the same. I had the same kind of questions on our 7 Days to the River Rhine card, and it's like, well, you take this number, you roll on this size dice, but you're also subtracting this and subtracting that, and before you know it, it's a difference between a 1 and a 2 on a 6-sided dice, which is literally double chance. So sometimes once you try the game, what looks like a very narrow margin turns out to be pretty significant. If it's a 2-point difference and it's on a D6 -3 or something like that, 2-point difference is huge. If it's on a D20, then no, 2 points isn't shit. So I don't know enough about the system, but that's
right.
The kind of thing.
Well, nobody does because this is brand new rules because Matt Adams, who wrote basically the initial set of rules, version 1, version 2, is no longer associated with Spectre. He's on his own. He's got his own game company he's doing. That's asymmetrical warfare. And so Steve May is writing the new rules. So it'll be interesting to see the contrasts and stuff like that. But yeah, this is much as we know. These are the little hints we're getting. So it'll be interesting to see. So cool. All right, Jim, what's on tap for tomorrow? I know we talked briefly about it, but let's hype it up for you.
Tomorrow on the channel, we are coming out with part 2 of our West Bank of the Suez Canal and 15 millimeter. Part 1 did pretty well on our YouTube channel, so thanks very much for all the support, everyone. Part 2 is coming out tomorrow. That video is done. It's in the can. I'll just have to upload it. And then today, I'm spending the rest of today getting ready for a game that we're going to be running tomorrow in 15 millimeter physical war game. Again, we're doing what if the current problems in Eastern Europe expand into other areas, i.e. the Baltics. And if the Russians or maybe the Belarusians go through that Kaliningrad corridor, there's a part of Russia that's kind of connected to the Baltic Sea. They don't really like that there's a huge NATO country between them and one of their largest warm water ports. They decide to do something about it. There goes Article 5 of the NATO Charter, and Bundeswehr German army units are among the those units that are responding. So we're going to have, long story short, take your first shot. We're going to have Germans, modern Germans up against modern Russians. So
nice.
I'm not sure when that video is going to be coming out. Probably about a month, because there's a lot of other stuff in the can that's got to get edited and put together. But that's the game that's going on tomorrow. And again, as far as video, it'll be probably going out early wee hours of the morning, so probably like 1 in the morning here Eastern time, like right off the bat on Sunday. Is again second part of that West Bank Suez Canal game. So people think of the Arab-Israeli conflict, for anyone who hasn't seen part 1, and you picture these open deserts, rolling dunes, and Israeli tanks just blowing away Egyptian armor from like half a mile away. And that certainly applies to a lot of the Arab-Israeli conflict and the Yom Kippur War in general. But what I wanted to do, and that's great for Arab-Israeli wars, Panzer Leader, games like this right here. On a miniature table, you want something more than a sand-colored bed sheet on your 8x6 table and maybe some palm trees or whatever. There's really no palm trees in the Sinai either. It really is an empty desert. But once you get Operation Abiri Halev or Operation Gazelle, if you prefer, and they get across the Suez Canal, the Israelis do, and they make that big pivot south, you're now in the southern part of the West Bank of the Suez Canal, where agricultural projects, palm trees, orchards, pump houses, generators, buildings everywhere. The Israeli soldiers at the time called it going to Vietnam because, that's what they thought Vietnam looked like. But I thought it would be a much better spot to do a miniature game because there's a lot more terrain. Makes for a much more interesting table. So, again, we had part 1 last week. Part 2 comes out early morning tomorrow, so check it out. And hope you guys like part 2 as much as you apparently like part 1.
Awesome. All right, Chris, what you got on tap? What's your plan for today?
Convention time.
You're going to be there by yourself for a while. What are you going to do?
Yep. Well, I don't know. Maybe get a couple demos in.
Okay.
I don't have Marty's phone. My phone is the one given audio issues, so I can't use that. So we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay. Well, you can always just take some
technology.
pictures and post them to Facebook. Just
Absolutely.
throw out some stuff. All right. Excellent. So, guys, for Jim and Chris, this is Bill. We want to thank you for joining us on today's episode of the podcast.
Yep.
Today it was more of an overview of up and coming events and just an overview of what's going on at Little Wars today with Chris and Marty. The first video should be uploaded here in about 10-15 minutes. And that'll be Enemy Spotted Studios and In Country is their new game. So watch for that video. So for everybody here, we want to thank you for joining us and subscribing and being supportive to our team. And we will see you, if not today, not tomorrow. We'll see you on the next one.